activity-based costing. Basically, when they say this word cost allocation, which I have also mentioned it to you earlier on, what is the meaning of a cost allocation? Yeah, before I start with the cost allocation, let's make some easy understanding whereby why the company or why the manufacturing company so-called need to allocate the cost of their expenses. Yeah, of their expenses. Yeah, need to allocate up their expenses. Yeah, need to allocate. Because it's very simple. If you are producing a product and you are selling it to your customer, let's say you are producing antique furniture, customer wants it, then you will definitely buy raw material to do this antique furniture. Then you also involve the workers or the staff to come up with the antique furniture. Let's say you allocate two workers or two staff. Also, you must not forget, you also have the running fixed costs. That's your electricity, water, insurance, depreciation of the machines, so forth and so forth lah. All these have to be added up lah. Yeah, that's the last part. That's the indirect labor and material cost. So whatever indirect material and labor cost is termed as overheads. Yeah, is termed as overhead. So you do this antique furniture for Mr. A. You already know the material cost already. They say you say it's 100,000, so you will definitely charge 100,000 to him later lah. Then you say your labor spend 50 hours to produce this antique furniture. Yeah, so 50 hours, 1 hour is 300, so you say it's 15,000 already lah. So labor is 15,000, material is 100,000. So in total, you really incur labor plus material of 115,000 already, 115,000 already. So you say, oh look, 115,000, Mr. A, I want to charge you invoice, which is my cost 115,000 plus my profit lah. It's a good plan. I only charge you 10% markup only. It means you use 115,000, you times 10% as your profit. So you bill him. So if you think carefully, is this correct when you do your costing? Definitely you do your costing wrongly already, right? Why I say it's wrongly? You take into consideration of your material cost, your direct labor cost, but you definitely has missed out the overhead cost that you also need to put inside your costing before you put the invoice to your Mr. A. So say you say my overhead in total 1 year is 50,000, 50,000. And I estimate my total workers hour, my direct labor hours is 5,000. So you definitely want to know what's the overhead rate you want to use. So you say, in this case, I will use my 50,000 total overhead divided by 5,000 direct labor hours. I will get 100 or 100 per hour lah. Example lah, 100 per hour. So you already know your overhead absorption rate already. That means 1 labor hour I spend on every job, my overhead is 100. 100, yeah. So in this case, you do this antique furniture for Mr. A. You already know your labor hours is 5,000. So what you do? You're going to times 100, right? You're going to 100. That means you get 50,000. Just example. So you see, your direct material is 100,000. your labor is 15,000, add up 115, and you need to also add your overhead of 50,000, 50. That's added together, your total cost is 165,000. Only the 165,000 you times 10% to make a profit based on the markup method. You use 165,000 cost, you times 10%. That's 16,500 as your profit. So in this case, you can compare this example with the earlier example, whereby your cost is only 115, and you quote your customer 115 plus 11, another 10%. That's come up to another 130,000. But your actual cost is already 160 over 1,000. So you can see, obviously, you already make mistake in your calculation of the costing. So it's important that you must know how to recover your overhead costs, in every business. If you do not recover your overhead costs, you will not be able to run your business in the long run, you see. Because every quotation, you get a contract every time. When you put out your quotation, when someone asks request for quote, then you go and put out the tender, and every time you get it, you are so happy, you see. Because why you get it? Because you put out the bid price very low compared to other competitor, and that's the reason you get the contract. But you have to remember, if you keep doing this, definitely you are going to having the trouble in the financing the project, you see. You will end up don't have the cash, because every project you are going to lose money. And how are you going to carry on with another many projects that you have get it? When every project you tender, you got it, but you are losing money. So important when we do the costing, you must make sure that all the appropriate cost is included in our product cost. That's the meaning we want to study this chapter lah. Cost allocation. One chapter that we study, and after that, we also learn something called activity-based costing. Basically, I want to explain these two to you first, then you will get some idea. What is the meaning of activity-based costing? Okay, now we go back to the purpose of cost allocation. Why we want to allocate cost? To provide information for decision making. Of course, because as I said just now, when you do the this antique furniture, you must make sure that you have the necessary information. That means you must make sure all your direct labor, your material, and plus your overhead cost is all included. That's why it said to provide information for decision making. Otherwise, you will blindly put out all the bidding for the tender. Then you get it, but at the end, you get it because of the wrong information. You're making the wrong decision already. So cost allocation is important because it gives you the information for you to make decision. Okay, to reduce frivolous use of common resources means when we come to the word of the frivolous use, means some department just assist there. Just example maybe say HR department, just say. Then the production department will not bother about HR department. I mean, whether this department assists or not assists, I don't care. You want to increase the headcount to support the operation or whatever, I don't care. You see, so they just use it as like they like. I mean, they just use the HR department as they like, to do a training, to do recruitment, whatever they like, to review the benefit for the employees, But they do not know actually this is the cost to them, because the cost will never come to them. They don't know. If you don't charge a portion of this HR cost to this production department, the production department will not even bother about this HR department. Simple as that only, because they don't see their cost. So what do I bother is something I don't see. So this reason we want to have a cost allocation to each respective department who is using the services. to encourage evaluation of services. Yeah, later we'll go into more detail about this one. And to provide full cost information. So if provide full cost information, as I say to you, very important. Or like you do the antique furniture for your Mr. A, you just give to your production manager direct material, direct labor, but you miss out the overhead cost. So what will happen? Something is happened now. You under cost your product already lah. So when with the full allocation, you add another line. You put overhead absorption to apply. Then your sales manager or your production manager will know already. There's another overhead I need to include when I compute the costing for my tender. So you will not miss out any important information. Yeah. So you see there the summary why we need to do the cost allocation is that to provide information for decision making, to reduce the frivolous use of common resources, to encourage evaluation of the internal provided services. It's very true. Later we go into detail why we say that. To calculate the full cost of product for gap reporting. That's very true. This part we studied already when we say the full costing is the costing that we need to include both variable cost and the fixed cost for the manufacturing company in our cost of goods sold in our reporting. That means the product we want to sell, we must include both variable and the fixed manufacturing overhead. Yeah. So we go into more detail lah. Provide information for decision making. So allocated cost should measure the opportunity cost of using a company resources. Means very simple lah. So if you don't allocate any cost to any department, that means the HR cost is not allocated to sales department. That means whatever HR spend, that's the cost involved, but don't one will care lah. That means if I do have this HR department, what will happen? There's an opportunity cost involved already. That means that what is the next opportunity choice we have if we don't have the HR department, or if we have more departments to support the sales department. This trying to tell you what is the comparison available when you use the company resources. If you think that management think that maybe IT department the cost is very high, might as well we outsource it to Dell or to HP to handle our IT problem, just to ask the employee to raise the ticket every time their computer got problem, their laptop got problem. So it's a comparison, we call it opportunity cost lah. If I have my IT department 1 year, I spend about 200,000. But if I outsource it, I spend about 100,000. So should I outsource it to outside party to handle my IT resources, or I still maintain my existing IT in-house? So this is a comparison of opportunity cost that you need to know lah. In practice, difficult to operationalize since cost may quickly change. That's very true lah. In today, you will notice that a lot of variable costs also started to change to like fixed costs already. Yeah. In the old days, in the factory, we always say labor cost is always variable cost, because when you change the activity, the labor cost will increase. But in the today operation, things start to change very fast. You see, maybe labor cost will slowly become a fixed cost, because the employer will prefer to pay you fixed salary every month. So your cost will become a fixed cost already. Also, like sometimes like even labor can be replaced by a machine already, the robot to do your work, you see. So for the labor cost, it will quickly change to a depreciation cost already, a machine cost. So these changes happen very fast. So not easy lah to say. When you do the cost allocation, it's not a fixed thing. That means it's not today I do it, I apply for the whole year already. No such thing. Yeah, this thing, it will change very dynamic lah. When there's a change in the operation, the placement of the robot towards the manpower, things change. And then your basis of allocation, you have to change quickly lah. This one is a dynamic situation. Yeah, provide a useful benchmark. What does it mean is that it always make you a comparison. You compare your internal run cost, compare if this services is given by outsider. You compare that janitor services. You compare these two cleaner. One year cost me 30,000, and you would like to compare to outside lah. If outside can give me 10,000, I prefer to get outside lah. There's a useful comparison lah, a benchmark you want to compare. Purpose of cost allocation: reduce frivolous use of common resources. So frivolous use may have hidden costs such as lower service. Because if sometimes you don't charge to them, you don't charge the cost to the other department, like the selling a service, admin cost, other people don't see, see. So if nobody care about my HR department, I don't care lah. I do my work very slowly. I take my own sweet time to send my report, you see, to the other department, you see. So that's the meaning of it lah. Yeah, allocation of centrally provided services provide incentive for department to reduce frivolous use of resource. That's true lah. It's like sometimes if people don't give you their cost, you don't care, man. Yeah, not by business lah. You HR, you know, your HR business. But if someone give you the cost, you open eye already. This guy is every month going to give me a 10,000 charge to my department, to my sales department. So you will monitor. You will monitor. If this guy next month increase their department, HR department headcount by another 5%. Of course, they will give you more cost already. So you will know how is their service. You see. So you very care about their service. You care about the service because they are to service you. They charge you. You will not simply take for granted already. Just use as what you like lah. You see them as the important cost that you need to bear. Encourage evaluation of services means that if costs are not allocated, there is no incentive to evaluate the services and look for lower cost alternative. Very simple to explain is that if you don't see the HR cost, you don't know what they spend, how they spend, you see. So you don't even bother to care. The management don't even bother to care, you know. You may not compare if my HR cost, every year I spend about 1 million, but if I outsource my HR, my payroll, my employee benefit kind of things, leave, whatever things to outsider, they only charge me 300,000. So you will start to compare. You see. If you don't allocate the cost, you don't compare, you don't care, because nobody see the cost, you see. With cost allocation, there is a strong incentive to critically evaluate the efficiency and the necessity of service. That's very true lah. If someone allocate the cost to you, or someone allocate their expenses to you, you will definitely want to see how good they are, how good they respond to your needs, you see, because they are supporting you. If they are supporting you, they are not responding to you, then that's not nice lah. You are not happy, you see, because they will keep charging their cost to you, right? Provide full cost information. GAP require full cost information for external reporting purpose. That's very true lah. When we say about GAP, we say about full costing, which really explain it in the variable costing, whereby in the full costing, in the line of the cost of goods sold, you need to include both the variable cost and the fixed cost, right? And only you can get the full cost picture. But in the variable costing, definitely you only include the variable cost in your cost of sales only to get the contribution. So in this case, full costing is important. So that's why you do a cost allocation, because you want to also allocate your fixed manufacturing cost to the cost of goods sold. Yeah, full cost information is needed when the company has an agreement whereby revenue received depends upon cost incurred, cost plus contract lah. This is very true lah. Just now I explained to you about the antique furniture lah. Antique furniture is whereby you must know the full cost information lah. If you miss out your overhead cost, then you totally miss out the cost already. Then you use the cost plus method lah, under the markup method lah, to quote the customer. Then you will every time will underquote the customer. and you are so happy every time you get the contract, then you proceed with the contract. But at the end, you end up with all the losses that you have to bear because of your wrong costing method. So it's important that you learn, you study costing, and you don't miss out any cost when you do the quotation to your customer. Yeah, every business will have their different practice of the costing. Yeah, I must let you know like if you are in the service provider, like you are running a hotel, you definitely know what is the cost unit. Cost unit will be the room of service. That is the cost unit. You want to measure the performance. Yeah, that you are in the airline industry, you must know what's your cost, the cost unit. You add up all the costs. Definitely the airline is very simple already. You know, airline you cannot run away is your flying hours. What is the flying hours for each aircraft? AirAsia. That's why you can see how AirAsia, why AirAsia is efficient, is because they always remember one thing. They practice non-stop drill. That means they will not stop more than half an hour in any airport. That is how they run their business. That is how they make money, you see. Because the longer they stay in the airport, there's very heavy cost they have to bear for the landing charges and the parking charges. That's why the moment before the landing, they tell you already, please stand by, get your passport ready, queue out and check in. That's all. Everything finished in 15 minutes. This is how people making money to be most efficient. So important that you must know all your costs in, and you must know how to properly charge up to your customer without making losses. Yeah. So this example is just to tell you one example under cost reason. So I will not go into detail, but that's one of the reasons they under cost it. And too bad. Everything is simply get it done. You can read later when you're free. Yeah. Okay, we come to the important step now. This one is in your assignment. So I will go slow a bit. This one, yeah. When you want to allocate the cost, you must know what cost you want to allocate. Let's say in the manufacturing process, what are the costs you want to allocate? You have to gather the necessary information. And in actual practice, you already have the information at your hand already. You already know what is the rental you pay every month. You know what is the insurance, quick rent, assessment, depreciation you are going to pay and incur every month. You know already. So the data is available as and when you require it. But with that data, how you want to allocate this cost to your product is the practice. You must know how to allocate the cost. So that's the reason we study this called process of cost allocation. Yeah. So as I say in the earlier chapter we say that direct material you don't have to worry already. It's already a allocation direct to the product. There's not much work required. Yeah. And then given the labor cost, you already know. You can allocate to the cost job sheet A, cost job sheet B, because you know this is assigned to who already. The only problem we have is the overhead cost. Overhead cost is the one who we always need to gather the information. Yeah, because like the rents, the maintenance of the machine, the depreciation of the machine, whatever, all these costs, you cannot easily assign to any product or any department. You need to come up with the basis to allocate all these costs to each product or division. So what we do, we need to determine the cost objective. Cost objective means that which department is to bear the cost. That's called cost objective. So if you're the sales department selling washing machine, so you are the department to bear the overhead cost. So you are the objective that is to assign the cost to you. So we call it cost objective. Then the second is the forming of the cost pools. Cost pools means that you need to gather all the costs that you cannot assign direct to a particular product. Example is like rent, electricity, insurance. All this very difficult for you to assign direct to a particular department or to a particular product. So what you do, you add up all the numbers for a year for all these costs. You say it's 1 million. So you say this 1 million cost pool is my budget for this year. And what are the 1 million inside there? Insurance, rents, quick rent, assessment, depreciation, everything inside there. That's my cost pool. Yeah, a cost pool can be many items. Many items. Yeah, many items. So after you already know which department or which product to bear the cost under the cost objective, then you already gather the cost pool. The next thing to do, you must select the allocation base. What does it mean by allocation base? You already gather your cost already. You already know who to absorb the cost. You must know how to allocate the cost. That's why we work up the allocation base. Means that very simple. Let's say you say washing machine. It's based on the number of output, number of products. So that will be your allocation base. The units produced is the base you want to charge out the cost. So easy example is like, okay, you say my cost pool for the total cost for this year is 1 million. And I want to produce 100,000 washing machine. So if you use 1 million divided by 100,000, you will get a $10 per unit. $10 per unit. That means one machine I produce, I need to charge my overhead cost of $10 per machine. That's the reason we call it allocation base. Allocation base. Yeah. To relate cost pool to the cost objective. So the allocation base is equivalent to total overhead cost, fixed plus variable, divided by the number of machine hours, number of labor hours, whatever basis you use. Whatever basis you use. Yeah. You can choose labor hours, you can choose machine hours, you can choose product produced, you can choose number of employees, square foot, whatever you like. So whatever basis you choose, it must have some relevance. Relevant means that you cannot choose example number of employees as a allocation basis, whereby this machine production never use labor. You get my point? It's no more relevant. It's very simple. If you choose labor hours as your basis of allocation of $10 just now, that means you use 1 million divided by 100,000. The 100,000 is your labor hours. Then you allocate this to your washing machine. But the washing machine did not use any labor. It's all robot automated already, robotic automated already. It's all handled by robots to produce the washing machine. So your allocation basis is not relevant. Your allocation base is not relevant in this example. Yeah, you must well select the robotic hours as the basis for you to allocate this overhead cost. Yeah, so this example is to tell you that is the overall simple example when we build up the cost allocation process. Yeah, cost allocation process. So you can see here, you form your cost pool. Cost pool means you gather all your costs already. You gather all the indirect manufacturing costs, variable manufacturing costs, everything semua masuk sini lah, all in lah. Then you select the machine hours in this example lah. Let's say it's 100,000 lah. So you assign it to washing machine lah, to washing machine. That's how the allocation happen. Yeah, allocation happen. So determine the cost objective. Determine the product, service, or department that is to receive the allocation. Object of the allocation is called the cost objective. That's to say very simple, the cost objective can be anything, you know. It doesn't mean it's a product. It can be a department, it can be a service center, it can be a division, whatever, which you want to assign your cost to them. You want to assign your cost to them. Now, that's very common. If you're in a company, you produce 4 or 5 products, product A, B, C, D, vacuum, washing machine, fan, whatever. This is become your cost objective. You will definitely want to assign all your overhead costs to them. Yeah, you want to assign all your overhead costs to them. For example, if computer costs are allocated to contracts, the contracts are the cost objective. You see, even the contract is the cost objective. In this example, contract is the service. The service. It means you assign the computer depreciation cost to the contract. Yeah, to the contract. So you can see here, cost objective is this one. This is the one who receives the cost. This is called a cost objective. So you have a tool, a machine, drilling machine. You drill, you know. So you produce this a bracket, you call it a log or bracket, whatever. So you see, you have to allocate the depreciation cost to them. So how is the basis of allocation? It's your choice. That means here is something called allocation base. You can choose hours of machine. You can choose whatever you like, yeah. Even it must be relevant, not simply choose something not relevant. Then the computer processing cost. Then you have to assign to the cost objective contract 1, contract 2 until contract 50. So you have to work out the rate, how much to charge them, yeah, every month or every year or every quarter, how much to charge them. And a general admin, HR department, ID department, whatever department you said it, also you need to allocate their cost. You have to allocate the cost, yeah. In the cost allocation process, the cost objective is the allocation base used to allocate the cost. A grouping of individual costs whose total is allocated using one allocation base. The product, service, or department that is to receive the allocation, none of the above. Okay, so an example, I explain again. The allocation base used to allocate the cost, which is not right. Actually, allocation base is the unit. The unit you want to allocate the manufacturing cost, or we call it cost pool. That 1 million you want to allocate. You choose machine hour as the base you want to use, as the base you want to use. Yeah. A grouping of individual costs whose total is allocated using one allocation base. So this example is telling you is the cost pool. You pull out the total 1 million, rents, whatever, then you allocate, use the allocation base. So it's not correct also. C, the product, service, or department that is to receive the allocation. That's very true. Allocation, the objective, the cost objective is the department, the service, or the product to receive the allocated cost from other department, So the answer is definitely C. Yeah. Form cost pools. So you need to form all the cost pool. You need to know, because all these things you need to work up in advance. When you do the budgeting or you do the standard costing, by using the historical data you have already, you really know how much cost incurred. Because most of this cost pool is the fixed cost. I would say it's a fixed cost. Mostly you will not run too much because your rent will not change too much. Maybe change is increased by another 10 to 20% for the next 3 years, but more or less you know your cost already. You will not run too much one. Yeah. So it's a grouping of individual costs whose total is allocated using one allocation base. Okay, remember this keyword, one allocation base. That means only use one basis on it. It can be machine hours, number of unit produced, man hours, number of employees, number of square foot, whatever. But only choose one one allocation base. Yeah. Cost in the pool must be homogeneous. That's very true lah. Try to make sure that whatever they are all relevant lah. Rank, no depreciation, all are related lah. You cannot take something not related, then you just lumping. You see, must be in same nature lah, homogeneous lah. Yeah. Cost pool can be categorized or organized along department lines, maintenance, personnel, very easy lah. It means you homogeneous lah. Whatever related to the maintenance, personnel one, you group together, or by activities lah. What are they doing? Are they doing the equipment setup, inspection? These are all the cost pool you can gather. You see, you can gather. It's only the method you choose. Consistent method we say lah. Yeah. Select and allocation base. Now, just already explained to you lah. Allocation base can be the machine hours, the labor hours you would like to use. Yeah. Select an allocation base that relates cost pool to the cost objective. That means how you want to allocate the cost lah. Base must be some characteristics that is common to all of the cost objective. That means you choose the cost allocation base. You must make sure you want to assign this manufacturing cost to all the department. You must make sure this allocation base, example, machine hours is some relevance to the department who receive it lah. If not, then you have to find out a better approach to work out the appropriate method lah. If not relevant, then you make meaningless, you see, in your allocation. This some characteristics lah. It means there's some relevancy there lah. Yeah. Should be based on cause and effect relationship lah. That's very true lah. Also, when one department doing more sales, by right, they should increase the allocation lah. So that's the meaning of cause and effect lah. Yeah. When some department close down already, you also make sure that you will not allocate to them lah, the cost lah. So that's the meaning of cause and effect lah. It must have some relationship lah. Yeah. If indirect costs are fixed, cause and effect relationship are difficult to establish, and other approach are used. Sometimes indirect costs are fixed already. Means that very difficult lah. Sometimes, yeah, I know your department already slow down, but this cost is fixed. More or less, you have to take a portion. You cannot say no lah. Yeah, because it's everybody have to take a portion. It's a fixed cost already. So no matter your performance of your department down already, but they still give you the cost for you to bear. You see, because they give you the cost means that you will generate a lower income. You see. You will tell them, hey, look, my sales not good lah. Don't charge me anymore lah. All your admin costs, but they will tell you no lah. All these are fixed costs ma. You just bear lah, no, like that lah. So no choice lah. That's the meaning of this one lah, So you can see in this example, select an allocation base. That means the basis you want to use to allocate your manufacturing cost, your cost pool lah, to production department, assembly and finishing. And this is one of the very common in the manufacturing department lah. Assembly is always there lah, and finishing also lah. Sometimes need to do some finishing of the product. You see, both receive allocation of indirect costs from the maintenance department. So the maintenance department is the cost pool lah. It's the one who give his cost to these two departments. Yeah, you allocate his cost to assembly and the finishing department. Yeah. Should labor cost or machine hour be used as the allocation base? Okay, you look at this one. So assembly labor hours 20,000, allocation 80,000, machine hour 11,000, allocation 110,000. So it's how the cost being allocated. You see, you can see that this is just a very simple example telling you you can use the labor hours. You can use the machine hours. Both also can use. Of course, you will not come with the same amount of the allocation, you see. Of course, in total, you will see the same. Total cost you give to them is 200,000. Maintenance give to them is 200,000. Yeah, but if you look at the allocation, different. This using the labor hours, you will have 80,000, but using the machine hours, you have 110,000. So now you can spot the differences already lah. Yeah, use a different allocation base will produce different amount of the allocation. Yeah, yeah. So this will tell you labor hours. Your assembly will get 80,000, but if you use the machine hours, assembly will get 110,000. So different bases will have the different amount of the allocation being charged. Yeah, how they get the $4 is very easy lah. They use 200,000 cost pool. They divide by the allocation base 50,000. They come up with the overhead absorption rate of $4 per hour. So this is usually worked out in advance. That means when everyone prepare the budget, this is worked out already. They already know this will be the budgeted amount they want to allocate to the departments. Yeah, same as this one. Use the 200,000 cost pool. Divide by 20,000, they will get $10 per machine hour. Yeah. There's no right and wrong answer in whatever allocation basis. Yeah, just to let you know lah. You cannot say this one is wrong, this one's right. You cannot say 100,000 wrong or right. No such thing. Yeah. The most important is that as long as you think the basis is okay, you accept it, then you will just make comparison. Yeah, you just make comparison. Compare the budget with the actual every month. That's all you do. Yeah. So this one you can read later. You just say about the grants and how they used it for allocation base. How they allocate out all the contract, the cost to this contract and the grants from the government. Yeah, you can read later. In the we just do exercise in the cost allocation process. And allocation base, just now we say lah, this one, allocation base, this one, the base, must be same characteristics that is common to all other costs of the objective. It means they must have some kind of same nature lah, some kind of relevancy, you see, must be ada kaitan dengan antara satu sama lain lah, cannot be not relevant at all lah, huh? Ideally should result in cost being allocated based on a cause and effect relationship. It means whatever increase in the volume of the sales, there will be an increase in the allocation. That's the meaning of it. It's a cause and effect relationship. Both A and B, none of the above. So obviously, this A and B is confirmed correct. The answer is A and B, yeah, because already explained earlier on. It must have some characteristics. It must have the cause and effect relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Just now we also say it's not easy to allocate indirect costs, you see. So now we just get some study about what are the other approach when you want to allocate the fixed indirect cost. Relative benefit approach to allocation. More cost allocated to those objectives that benefit most from incurring the cost. So sometimes is that you just need to work up some analysis about this department A whether this department A always call the HR for support or not. If after study find out that this department A almost utilize 80% of the HR resources, then you have to allocate 80% direct of the cost to the HR, to the department A because you find that there's more appropriate since department A utilize almost 80% of the HR department's resources so you allocate 80% to them. Then the remaining 20% you will use the simple method to divide by the allocation base, then to allocate to the rest of the department. That's the meaning. Ability to bear cost is very easy to understand. More cost allocated to those that are more profitable. This is very fair. If a department only making a profit of 10,000 per month, then you allocate to them the cost of 50,000 per month. So they are making a loss of 40,000 per month. Every month they show a loss. In fact, that's not right when it comes to this kind of allocation, right? Because you know that this department still making money, but because I allocate the HR cost to them, they are losing money. So you need to work out properly lah. You must make sure the department is able to bear the cost lah. So as I explained earlier to you lah, some department they will tell you my sales down, no more business, you deduce your allocation to me lah. So you understood lah. You try to deduce the allocation to them lah. Yeah. Equity approach to education. It means fair lah, fair basis lah. Base result in allocation, they are perceived to be fair or equitable lah. That means you work closely with all the relevant division managers. You say, look, let's work together to make sure lah the workup basis, everybody happy with that, then everybody agree lah. So that's the basis lah. We work out the basis. Okay. Okay. There also we have to remember there is a service department cost also lah. Like janitor service, cleaning service, whatever service not very relevant one, we also have to allocate the cost lah. Yeah. Organizational unit of manufacturing firm classified as either obviously in a manufacturing company you always have the production department or you have a service department. Cost pool formed by service department allocated to production department. So it's very easy lah. In a manufacturing company, it's just to explain to you. You had the production department A, B, C, but at the same time also you had the service department X and Y. So this service department cost, it must be allocated appropriately to the production department A, B, C. That's the meaning of it lah. Yeah. So you can see in this example lah, sanitary service, personnel cost, HR department, you know. You see how they allocate, they will definitely allocate direct to the assembly, they will allocate to finishing, same lah. This one is in your assignment lah. One the example they will show you lah. Service cost center X and Y lah, how they do the allocation lah. Yeah? So you see, they also allocate their cost to production department. Then after that, the production department will also allocate their cost as we work up in the job costing. Also we learn all these costs will also be charged up after we calculate the unit costing lah. So all the assembly costs will go to product A and B, and all the finishing costs will go to product A and B. Simple as that. So this is the whole process. This must come first, then go to here, the assembly, finishing, then this one will go to the final product. Then this final product only we will sell it to the customer with the profit margin we want, how much profit we want to make, or a markup we want. So in this simple example, let's say janitorial cost is 100,000, the cleaning service is 100,000 lah. So they use the allocation base is square feet lah. How big is the building? So assembly department take up 20,000, finishing department take up 30,000. So calculate allocation rate, very easy only. Use 100,000 divide by 20 plus 30. This is the allocation base. So you will say $2 per square feet or per square foot lah. $2 per square feet or square foot. Yeah. So you get already lah. The answer is very easy and straightforward. So allocation to production department. So how you want to allocate is very easy lah. You already know the rate already for this. You know the rate. So production department take up 20,000. What you do? You use $2 times 20,000. You give your cost to them. You give 40,000 to assembly department, and for finishing department, they occupy 30,000. You times $2, you give them 60,000. All together come out to 100,000. So you see, this is very easy to understand, right? Easy to understand, but that's the problem. We will discuss later. In the assignment, also ask you to analyze this one, to explain very clearly what is the limitation of this method. Yeah, limitation, the problem of this method lah. Easy to understand, easy to use. Calculate the allocation base, work out the overhead extraction rate, apply to the respective production department, you get the cost. Simple as that. But that is always a problem when things is too simple. When things is too simple. Okay. Same personal cost 200,000. Here, this one. Personal cost 200,000. Want to give to assembly, want to give to finishing. Okay. So 200,000. This time the allocation base is based on employee. So 60-40. So easy, 200,000 divided by 60 plus 40. So 2,000 per employee. So for assembly department, they have 60 employees times 2,000. They will get the allocation from HR department 120,000. And from finishing department, because of 40 employees times 2,000, they will get 80,000. Simple as that, yeah? You will get back 200,000. It means HR department cost will be allocated out to assembly department and finish department. All this process will go through, and then this will go to assembly. Assembly department will go to finish product to calculate the unit cost of the product. That means they want to know one unit of the product, what is the cost like? Is it $5? Is it $6? No, that's the process they need to build. The direct method of allocation cost, allocate service department cost to other service department. Allocate only direct cost, allocate service department cost to production department only. So the answer is definitely C lah, yeah. Allocate service department cost to production department here lah. Service cost to production. Then production only allocate the cost to the product, yeah. So the answer is C, yeah. C. So you can see here lah, very simple example given to you already lah. Here the cost is allocated out 100,000. Give it to the assembly department 40,000. And give it to the finishing department 60,000, and the personal HR cost, give it to the assembly department 120, and give it to the finishing department 80. So in total, assembly department receive 160,000, 40 plus 120, yeah, from janitorial and the personal department. Whereas finishing department receive 140,000. So you can see that this is how the easy way of working out the overhead allocation rate. Overhead allocation rate, yeah. But easy to understand, easy to apply, but there is always a big problem when you use this method, yeah. So this example I'll quickly go through is because we are running out of time. Let me see the time now. Don't worry, I will finish this chapter. Okay, you look at this one simple. It can be any basis you use. Meal room cost. Meal room cost means the milling of the company's incoming and outgoing correspondence. It can be receive the letter, they give it to you. If the department is very big, few hundred employees, they will need the mailing room staff to send all the correspondence, letter, receive, email, whatever, to the relevant departments. Janitorial is if the company is very big, usually they will form their own internal department to do all the cleaning services. So you can see it can be any method. You can be number of employees, labor hours, or labor cost, whatever you choose. Yeah. Suggest allocation base for janitorial cost. Anything you can do. Square footage, number of square foot or number of square feet, number of workstation. That means this cleaning service. Do how many table cleaning, do how many toilet cleaning, things like that. Yeah. 3 production department, showers, bathtubs, and vanities. These are the employees. Allocate meal room cost of 600,000 based on employees. Very easy lah. So you use 600,000 divided by 150 employees. Simple as that only. Yeah. 600,000 divided. So you already work out. That means 4,000 per employee. 4,000 per employee. So that means one employee, I will allocate 4,000. So 80 employee, I will allocate 320,000. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. The business is very easy and only choose one allocation base. This is the allocation base. Yeah. Allocation base. Same this example, use the number of square foot. So the cost is 90,000. What is the basis? Very easy. 90,000 divided by this 3. You get 30 per square foot. Very easy. Even my children also can do this max without fail, man. But too easy also causing a lot of problem for sure already. Yeah, you see, so easy. One look we can understand already. Yeah, but this is the basis. It has been used in the past by many manufacturing company because you have to understand time is precious No one have time to analyze everything. So they prefer to use a simple method. Everybody just accept a simple method. So this is just to explain to you allocation of the service department cost. That means the HR department, the janitorial service department, IT department, whatever this department cost, should allocate based on budgeted cost rather than actual cost. That's true lah. When you allocate something to them, you need to work out the budget first. Yeah, you work out the budget first. Then only you compare. Later you will compare. Allocation of actual amount allowed service department to pass on cost inefficiency and waste to production department. It means that if you don't have the budget amount, every month you just allocate based on the actual cost, you don't have the comparison, you see. So even the HR will keep increasing the employees to support the department, but the business does not grow, but they will allocate more and more cost to you. So there's no measurement of the performance already. This trying to tell you lah. You need to monitor the cost, you see. Cannot simply pass the cost to other departments. Yeah. Okay, now we come to the important one, which is in your assignment that you have to answer. I believe this answer you have to write in very detail later on. Problems with cost allocation. Just now we already say all this method easy to understand. Even my 3-year-old kid also can do, but that's the problem of it. Potential problems brought about by this method. Simple method, use one allocation base. Allocation of costs that are not controllable. Allocation of costs that are not controllable for sure. Sometimes the cost that assign or allocate to you, you have no say. They just give it to you. You have to accept it. Very sad lah to say lah. Yeah, very sad to say. Arbitrary allocation. I mean, cincai do lah. Do as what I like lah. I just give you lah. I don't like this manager lah. This guy always against me. I charge him more. I don't care, man. So it's arbitrary lah. You do as what you like lah. Yeah. Allocation of fixed costs that make the fixed cost appear to be variable cost. This one is very relevant. As I say, just now one example lah. It's like your labor cost. You know, you become fixed cost, but you keep increase the cost. More, you become the variable cost. Then we will go into explanation later on. Yeah, allocation of manufacturing overhead to product using too few overhead cost pool. That means you gather the cost pool just too few lah. That means become under allocated lah, not relevant. We will go into detail. Use only volume related basis. That means you only use the basis of machine hour, labor hours, things like that lah, but may not be relevant sometimes. Okay, I'll go faster a bit. So responsibility accounting and controllable cost. You try to explain to you the first part already lah. Allocation of costs they are not controllable. Yeah. Identify those responsible for generating revenue and control costs. Some cost allocation are not consistent with responsibility accounting. Means that someone allocate to you is not you can control. Very simple lah. People just give you accept it lah. You cannot argue. They give you blindly, you also have to accept. But you don't know how they happen. You don't have any control. That's what we call responsibility lah, accounting lah. You only accountable for what you can see, what you can monitor. But for this allocated cost, definitely you cannot see, you cannot monitor. You just accept it, someone allocate to you. That's the problem. First problem. Yeah. Second, arbitrary allocation. Cost allocation inherently arbitrary. It means sometimes not so accurate, you see. Based on what I feel is right lah. What I feel is right, I give you this amount. Typically, there are numerous allocation bases that are equally justifiable. Managers support the allocation which makes them look best. Very easy lah. That means the manager will like allocation, give them very low allocation. That means every month you just them 1,000, 2,000. So the manager will be happy lah. But managers reject allocation which cast an unfavorable light on their performance. If you give them 200,000 allocation, the manager or the sales department were not happy lah. So they said you cincai give it to me lah. You simply hamtam me only. So this is the reason lah. So arbitrarily we say just give it to him lah. Don't care. Yeah. Unitized fixed cost and lump sum allocation. Unitized fixed costs are split on a per unit basis and allocate as a variable cost. It means a fixed unit cost is grouped together, and become a cost per unit, then it will allocate as like a variable cost. When the increase in the production activity or in the sales volume, the cost of the unit cost assigned to you also increase. That's why when you increase the sales, your cost allocation will also increase at the same time. So you will feel that this one is not right. How come my cost allocation increase when my sales increase, which is not fair to you lah. By right, you should receive a very reasonable allocation every month. Not because your sales increase, you increase more cost lah. Yeah, lump sum allocation lah. Allocate predetermined amount of fixed cost that is not affected by level activity. Allocation must appear to be fixed to manager. So that means I give you one lump sum lah. You just accept lah, one lump sum lah. Since this time we cost overrun by so much already. You accept it lah. You accept, assembly department say you accept it lah. You accept my another 300,000. So no choice lah. You have to accept one time allocation to you lah. Yeah. When fixed costs are stated on per unit basis, they mean it seems like variable cost already lah. Variable cost is per unit mah. It will not change mah. Fixed costs are said to be unity size. Fixed cost may appear to be variable to manager receiving allocation. Decision making is greatly improved. So it's both A and B lah. So because we may increase the activity, the fixed cost will increase every time lah. That's the meaning of it. A and B lah, yeah. Too few cost pool lah. It means you use too few cost pool to do the allocation. So when you use the too few cost pool, it can cause some product will be over costed or under costed for sure lah, because your basis is not correct already. Product cost will be more accurate when more overall costs are used. Very easy lah, because you look at this example, product cost will be more accurate when more overhead cost pool are used. Because you use more accurate information, then you will give a more accurate allocation of the cost. But if you use the one allocation based example machine hour, then not so accurate, see. Sometimes when the activity or the sales increase, but he will still receive the same amount of the allocation. This trying to explain to you lah, because your basis is only one allocation base. You do not use the multiple allocation base, you see. If you use the 2 or 3 bases, maybe more accurate, yeah. Must analyze cost benefit relationship of more cost pool. So you need to do some analysis lah. What are the causes of the increase in cost? Yeah. Problem of using measure of production volume. That means this part is the volume in the problem of the cost allocation. Typical allocation basis include direct labor hours and machine hours. These two are the very common method used in the overhead allocation. Assume all overhead costs are proportionate to production volume. That means the always make the same assumption. The overhead costs are closely related to labor hours or machine hours. Yeah, but when overhead costs are not proportionate to production volume, high volume products are overcosted, low volume products are undercosted. Very easy to understand. Let's say you use the basis of machine hour. So when this product produce a very high volume, you will give more cost to them. When this product produce very low volume, you will give low cost to them. So it will cause a distortion to the allocation already. Become not accurate. So this example, please go through the book. I think they give you some explanation in more detail. But more on this, you will tell you these are the example that cause this method not good to use. A single base allocation to allocate the overhead cost. All these problems happen. So when all these problems happen, a lot of organization find out not accurate in terms of allocate the manufacturing cost. So they suggest that we use another method called activity-based costing, because they believe in a new production technology. There is a lot of activities not very direct to the labor or machine hours already. There are many other activities that cause the cost to incur. Yeah, like sometimes it can be due to the number of services required or number of setup required, so it's no more very relevant in this case. So not all overhead costs vary with volume. So they come up with something called activity-based costing, solve this problem. So we will go through this activity-based costing. When in the assignment, you ask you to compare activity-based costing versus the traditional method of the one-based allocation of the overhead. So you must explain what is the characteristics of activity-based costing as compared to the traditional costing, and say back about traditional costing and advantages of the activity-based costing. Of course, you can mention some disadvantages of the activity-based costing as well to gain more assignment point in the assignment. Yeah. Activity-based costing, in short form, we always call it ABC. Identify major activity that cause overhead costs to be incurred. So what are the activities that cause the cost to incur? That means what are the things that make the cost to happen? Yeah, what are the things? Is it a number of costs to the customers? Whatever, that's the meaning. Yeah, whatever. What are the major activities? That means, let's say, the major activities in the HR department is to support this production department A in terms of the manpower supply. Almost 80% manpower supply is to handle department A. So this is the major activity that cause the HR cost to happen, to recruit more HR staff to support this department A. That's the cost activity, major activity. Cost of resource consumed performing this activity good into cost pools. That means after you have identified these activities, we call it the cost driver, as what happened in the cost pool. It can be rent, it can be insurance, whatever, Then you group into cost pools. You group them. Costs are assigned to product using measure of activity, cost driver. That means this activity is the drive, is the reason drive the cost. Is the allocation you want to use. Allocation you want to use, yeah. So you can see the step in the ABC. Identify major activities, group cost of activity, that means the cost pool into cost pool. Identify measure activity, the cost driver. What is the measure? What drive the cost? It means it can be number of hours, whatever, the machine hour. Delete cost to product using the cost driver. Cost driver. I mean, this one is the allocation based already in the activity costing. So you can see here example is very clear in the common activity and associated cost driver. Give me another 10 minutes. You don't mind, I will finish it. Yeah. Okay, you can see that in this example, major activity processing PO for material and parts. So what are the major costs? Labor cost, vendor, so on and so forth. So what's the cost driver? What drives the cost? It's the number of PO being processed. Number of PO being processed. That is the cost driver. That is the one who drives the cost. That is the one who caused all this to happen. All the employee, things like that. Handling material and parts. So number of material requisition notes, MRM, material requisition notes. Yeah. I mean, how many MRM being processed for a month? That is the one cost the cost. Set up machine and workstations. This can be IT. How many times to set up the machine? Then the IT manager, IT staff, all the costs. How many number of setup for each computer? Just example. Producing goods using manufacturing equipment. Usually this is the old way, number of machine hours. Inspection product for quality control. Number of inspection. Packing customer order. number of boxes packaging. So you can see here, different from the traditional way already. Traditional way, maybe they just select this one, then apply all already. All will use this one. That means whatever cost pool I select, all go into here. I just worked out a single rate only. The overhead absorption rate of $1 for a machine hour. This is the basis in the old way we studied in the earlier slides. But activity-based costing is different already. It says that identify this one, identify what is the cost. This is the basis I need to use. So you see, you come up with more basis to use, which is more accurate. Because in here, they know which department use more. For department A use 70%, department B use 30%. So they know how to allocate the cost later on, which is more accurate already. Instead of using one rate, apply to all the department, which may not be giving a really accurate costing when you cost out your manufacturing overhead cost. So you can see here, this cost pool, overhead cost item. So in the assignment, maybe you can set out your table in this format also can, because they want you to work out the schedule. You can use this presentation. Whatever format you like is okay. But this is one simple presentation you can try in the assignment question number 2 So overhead cost item, they tell you this is the cost pool and then what drive the cost? Just now this one, what drive the cost? What are the activities drive the cost? They call it cost driver number of setup, purchase order. This is the number they already accumulate the data They do the study, they based on the past year data, they work out already. This should be the hours, this should be the numbers. This is not a dollar sign, this is the number. And then after that, they use this 10 million divided by 1,000. They will say this should be the cost per setup. So they know this setup. If product A, or department A use 70%, they will give 70% to department A. Then department B use 20%, they will give 20% to department B. This same, department A use 30%, they will give 30% to department A. Department C use 10%, they will give. So it's a different allocation already. Compared to the earlier method, you just use one machine cost, machine hours, then allocate same to all the department. So it's not so accurate but this method is more accurate when it comes to allocate the cost of the manufacturing overhead the so-called indirect cost So just quickly go through this example. You can see that setup 10,000 times, cost is this one, inspection 15,000, cost is 3,000. Inspection is 15,000 times, sorry, not 15,000, 15,000 times. So cost per setup, here you can see that setup 1.5 million divided by 10,000, so it's 150 per setup. Second example, inspection, you can see that 3 million divided by 15,000 times is 200 per inspection. So it's different pool they use already. You see in this example. So they work out 150, 200. So they have the product EP150, EP175. This is the units, material, labor, setup given already. So you can see very good example here. EP150 material is 1,000 times 5,005. Material given already 5,005. You don't need to times already. This is the cost already. Then the labor is 2,007. Okay, the setup is 150 times 10. You get 1,005. And then the inspection is 200. So it's 3 times 200, you get 600. So you will get for product EP150, the cost is 10,300. So your unit is 1,000. So one unit is 10.3 per unit. 10 ringgit 30 cents per unit. So you see, using this method is more relevant instead of the earlier method. You see, second example, you see 175 cent. 2008 here, EP175 product. Then the labor 1,004, set up 40 times 200, 40 times 150 set up. Then the inspection is 8 times 200, 1,006. 8 times 200, 1,006. Total is 11,800. Divided by 600 unit production. Per unit is 19.67. So this example is trying to tell us, if you use the activity-based costing, it will give you this part more relevant. Instead of you using a single rate, then you apply it, may not be so accurate. This will be more accurate by giving more allocation base. Yeah, this is trying to tell you allocation of the activity-based costing. Yeah. So, but benefit of ABC provide more accurate costing, less likely to under cost or over cost due to cost driver usage. That is to say, you already use the cost driver here, which is more accurate lah. May lead to improvement in cost control. Cost broken out into number of activities rather than one or two overhead cost pool. So that means you already break down the cost into very detail. So you know which one costs more to the company. Yeah. Okay, limitation of ABC, definitely there's a limitation. Not easy. If you want to get all this data, not easy. All this data. This one is taking time. This is not one-day job. Maybe you have to spend months. And this could be frequent change. If change here, you have to change again. If change here, you have to change. That means not so easy lah. When you implement ABC, you need to do a lot of study lah. All this data you need to get lah. Compared to the traditional method, it's very easy. You just apply one rate only, one machine hour, all counting, all done already. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Used to develop full cost of product, include fixed cost, lack incremental information necessary for decision making. Used to develop full cost of product, include fixed cost, lack incremental information necessary. This part I'm not very sure. Used to develop full cost of production, include fixed cost. This could be a comparison with the variable cost, if I'm not mistaken. Because variable cost will say incremental cost when making decision. Because ABC definitely include the fixed cost already. So activity-based management is more or less something to do with activity-based costing. So activity analysis aim at improve efficiency and effectiveness of process. Efficiency means how fast you can get the things done. Effectiveness is how accurate you get the thing done. So yeah, you make the product right, make the quantity right. Yeah, efficiency means that you make it faster compared to the old way. That's the difference. Yeah. So you analyze. ABC is focused on measuring cost of product and services. ABA is focused on goal of managing the activity. So ABA is how to manage it to make it more efficient and more productive. Yeah. So this come to the ABM is come to the evaluation already. Evaluation means that you need to study all this part already, whether they are efficient, whether they are effective or not. Simple as that only. It's trying to explain to you. So they determine the major activity, identify resource used by each activity, evaluate the performance of the activity, identify ways to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the activity. Basically, you just do a study of all the activities to make sure they are efficient and effective. And if they are not, you must try way to improve. This is the meaning of it. Yeah. So basically, that is the part I done. Cherry.
Okay.
I think we can stop here because today is Saturday. But if you have any question, please